Is this the best big three?
Maybe not.
Is this the best big three in Auburn history? I'm just going to say that. Is this the best big three in Auburn history?
In the world full of podcasts, he's the undisputed heavyweight champion of hot takes, an Auburn sports homer, master of the boog, and message board legend. Get your buttons buttoned and your hats flattened because the Top Button Podcast is about to kick off, and you don't want to miss your courtside seat. Now, here's your host, Charlie Five.
So we're back. It's another bonus episode of the Top Button Podcast with my man Ben Taylor from the Auburn Sports Network. We got some fun stuff to talk about. Does Auburn have the best big three? Football, baseball, basketball coaches from a fit perspective that they've ever had. There's another one we're going to debate. And then we're going to talk about some tournament formats. What's your favorite postseason tournament format? And then obviously we got to talk about baseball. That's going to lead into the baseball discussion. We're going to do all that in just a second. But before we do that, we got to give a quick shout out to mybookie.ag. Use coupon code BARN, BARN, for a 50% deposit bonus. Give them $100. They're going to give you 50 back free to play with. Hit all the sports events you can possibly imagine. They got them all. Any way you like to bet, any format you like to bet. Easy deposits, easy withdrawals. It's mybookie.ag. Ben, hit it, man.
Kyle, the big three. And no, I'm not talking about the three wide receivers that could be on the outside in football, which is what everybody's going to think when we say big three. You brought up a good point. We were talking about this, when we were not recording, and it was, is this the best three coaches in men's sports in the history of Auburn athletics?
All at the same time.
All at the same time.
Not individually, just all at the same time.
Yeah, and a case could be made. The potential is there.
Yes.
There's somebody holding us back right now.
Yeah.
However, the potential is there. This could be the year that kicks it off. But when you look back at history, you and I were shocked when we looked at sports between the time of 1985 and 1989, when there were three other coaches that were dominating the Plains at that time. So if you had to choose right now, who's your big three? Do you go Sonny Smith, Hal Baird, and Pat Dye? Or do you go Hugh Freeze, Bruce Pearl, and, of course, our main man, Butch Thompson, who's very successful right now?
Coaching at Auburn is unique to, I think, many other places. I think you got to be a different type coach to work at Auburn than you do elsewhere. So my question was more along the lines of fit. I think fit eventually produces results. Like, obviously, you look at Bruce. Bruce came in, everybody bought in. He gets Auburn. Auburn gets him. He loves Auburn. Auburn loves him back. Mm-hmm. He was given, a long leash. I mean, those first 3 years were rough. Your second year was worse than your first year.
Yeah.
Then eventually he kind of built it into what it is. Butch Thompson kind of had a little bit of success. He had success quickly, but then, last year you had a season where the average Auburn fan that doesn't watch baseball, that doesn't really know about baseball, there's people, rightly or wrongly, calling for his job. That's pathetic. That's whatever, because of what happened last year. Wrongly, 100%.
Yeah.
But Butch gets Auburn. The baseball Auburn people get Butch. Mm-hmm. He's in the community. He does what he's supposed to do off the field. And look, that everybody rallied around him. And look what you see, Auburn getting to host their first baseball super regional that we're going to talk about in just a minute. And then you get to Hugh Freeze, whereas I really wish Hugh would have been hired when Gus was fired. Yeah. It's just a completely different game now. But I think Hugh gets Auburn, and I think Auburn, for the most part, when I say Auburn, I'm talking about the people that matter. They get Hugh Freeze, and that's why you see you can go 5-7, and you can still reel in a top 10 recruiting class, which costs a lot of money. You can go out and get some of the top players in the portal that cost a lot of money. I don't know. I look at I feel like we've had one or the other for a long time, and then you get to this one, and it finally feels like at least this big three: baseball, basketball, men's baseball, basketball, and football is really close to that epic 85 to 89 run of Hal Baird, Pat Dye, and then Sonny Smith. So it's close, and I think it's a fun discussion to have. I would obviously, if you just look at the nod, like you got to give the nod to 85. I mean, you got to give the nod to the 80s, but I think this group has the potential to be just as good. And if football can hit, I think you've had higher success in baseball and basketball. If football could hit, they may have a chance to, take over that take over that spot, I guess, at number one.
It's funny that you say fit, because two things. Number one, I go back to when it was between Hugh Freeze and, let's just say, Lane Kiffin, and maybe a couple of other names. I always will say, I don't agree with everything that Feinbaum does, but Feinbaum probably had the best analogy known to man when he said, when you're choosing between the two. You remember Lane refused to light the Christmas tree in Oxford, Mississippi? And Paul Feinbaum said, if you hire Hugh Freeze, not only will he light the town Christmas tree in Auburn, he will go door to door to everybody's house and light their Christmas tree.
And sing Christmas carols.
And so that's the kind of fit. And it's kind of funny you mentioned fit, because part two of this is Bruce, Butch, Hugh in the community. Always, you can see him eating at restaurants. You see him shaking hands, kissing babies downtown Auburn. Old school, Pat Dye, as well as Sonny and Hal Baird, were no nonsense, like gonna run your tail off, a lot of discipline, not your, I wouldn't call them your politician type coaches. They were, I think they were, every player that played for them said, they talk about how they used to get on to them. We don't hear stuff coming out from former baseball players about Butch saying, hey, I ran stairs for 48 hours. We don't hear fans come and saying that about Bruce, where basically they say, Bruce just sat me down and said, this is the way it is. And it's like, you just have to do that. Like, that's how it is. So I think you're talking about also different personalities, which were Auburn fits, I think, in the late 80s, the hard-nosed, tough as nails coach.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's the same thing. It's just a different era. It's a different way to relate. Like,
isn't that crazy, though?
Yeah.
Like how they found three during that time to fit that era and fit that mold and fit Auburn that way. And now we found three that fits this era, fits this mold, and fits this Auburn that way.
It is very interesting. It is, and like you said, back in the late 80s, I was just a small child at that point in time, a small infant child.
I was drinking during that time.
Yeah, you had just started. You just had a first sip of your first Budweiser. But yeah, that was disciplinarian. Yeah, stern figure, elite. Like, that's the Paul Bear Bryant. Like, that was, Bear Bryant was like the top of the top. Whereas Pat commanded your respect, but he still knew how to politic. Like, he knew how to politic, use that to make appearances and do the things that he had to do within the community. Same with the other two guys, Sonny and Hal, were the same way. And I think at the same time, I don't think you've had three that fit Auburn currently as well as those guys fit. Now, the result, I was kind of crazy. We were looking at some of the stats. Pat Dye, from 87 to 89, you either won or had a share of the SEC championship. Mm-hmm. Sonny Smith, he goes to the Elite Eight. I'm sorry, the Sweet 16, then the Elite Eight, then the second round of the NCAA tournament twice. So, I mean, made the tournament 4 straight years. And then you had Hal Baird, who you knew more about this than me, obviously, but the NCAA tournament was a lot different. It was a lot harder to get into.
Yes.
And he made it in 87 and 89. So,
only 32 teams taken at that time instead of
64. Imagine that run. If let's say you're a freshman in 1985, that was an epic 4 years. Like, you were just good at everything. Hopefully the longevity of Bruce between now and whenever he decides to hang it up, to me, is going to be the telltale sign of, can these guys all have the same success at the same time? So Hugh, I think, is 1 season away from being able to go, maybe possibly going on a run. But you're right. He's the only one that's kind of holding it back. He's the off the field stuff. We got it. That's good. Check. Now we got to get it going on the field, and then we can have that conversation.
It's kind of funny. You mentioned the Bruce factor. He's only got a little while to make his announcement if he's going to run for Senate. So qualifying is coming up. So if he doesn't make that call before the first football game, trust me, we will have him a few more years.
What if you had an Auburn? That's just kind of crazy to think about. You could have an Auburn football coach and a basketball coach as the governor and one of the U.S. senators.
Yeah, we've talked about that.
About state of Auburn.
It literally, like the state of Alabama's recruiting plan would be like the road to politics is through Auburn University.
Yeah,
it would all of a sudden there would be people moving here to put their kids through school here so they could get into politics later on in life.
Do you think that would hit? Do you think that hurts them at all? Like, do you think that could hurt their? Do you think it's hard because Republican ticket is so just down the line in the state of Alabama?
Yeah.
You've seen some lose, especially some, we saw the one with Roy Moore, which that was a weird one. And was this Doug Jones?
Doug Jones, yeah.
But I know Alabama fans don't like Bruce Pearl. They can't stand it.
They don't, but they said the same thing about Tommy. And I reminded everybody when Tommy made his announcement just a couple of weeks ago or a week and a half ago, his chief of staff is an Alabama grad.
Yeah.
He's
been out long enough, though.
He's got 2 other Alabama grads that work on his staff. However, he was hilarious that day because I went to that announcement, and he said that a couple of other staff members went to Florida, and he said, had to get them from Florida because they weren't smart enough to get into Auburn or Alabama. So I thought that was hilarious that he brought that up. But
he's been out long enough, though.
If Bruce jumped right away, this state may melt down.
It'd be kind of tough. It might be kind of tricky. We're going to talk some baseball, and we're going to talk some postseason tournament formats here in just a second. But before we do that, let's give a quick shout out to Rowback.com. I got my Rowback license hoodie on right now.
Look at there.
There you go. We got a little Rowback on right now as well. We did not plan that, but hey, it worked out. Use coupon code BUTTON20 to take 20% off your order. Save big. They got polos. They got swimsuits. I know Ben has a closet full of swimsuits. He's a big pool guy. So Rowback, he's a one piece guy too. So
big thong guy.
Yeah, for sure. So save big, check them out, rowback.com. We'll be back right after this. Diet Mountain Dew also send the check.
No doubt whatsoever. You'd mentioned tournament formats, and what we were getting at is, and again, we said big 3. We thought to think wide receivers. You think tournament, you're thinking we're probably going to talk football playoffs. We're not. Kyle posted something on Twitter that stuck out in my mind. I think it's got some validity to it as well. What is better? The NCAA basketball tournament with 60, well, now it's like 68 teams because I got the play-in games, with 64 teams, or the way they do regionals and super regionals with double elimination and allowing basically the winners of regions to go to the Sweet 16, and then it's best 2 of 3 in order to advance to the Elite 8, essentially.
Yeah.
And then after that, you also get double elimination. Kyle, I got to be honest with you. I think you're on to something. And I think that baseball has it right, and here's the reason why. I love the 2 out of 3 or best 2 out of 3 format in the super regional. I love the double elimination. And people go, yeah, but why would you do that in basketball? Because that's what they grow up doing now. All that AAU stuff that they do and go in these tournaments, they're playing 3 and 4 games a day whenever they go to these things. So these kids are used to it when they come into the program. So I don't know why the NCAA didn't think to go to the baseball model years ago, because they can make a hell of a lot more money.
It's more games.
Stretching it out.
Yeah.
And it's done that way in NBA basketball. All the series are either 3 of 5 or 4 of 7, one of the two. So I don't know why they haven't gone to that format in basketball.
Look, I don't know. I didn't play basketball at a high level, but I know that the physical you could play a bunch of baseball games in a bunch of days. Like you don't exert yourself physically quite as much as you do in basketball. And I don't know if you could take the exact format and make it work for basketball, but that first weekend, or like round robin, that would be double elimination would be epic. That would be just as fun as the NCAA tournament. Now, do you just go straight to it would be kind of weird to do a best of 3 Sweet 16 and then go do another tournament. I mean, there's some aspects of it that would need some tweaking, but there's something there. Here's my biggest thing. I know for the most part, I'm not going to say for the most part, I know a lot of times, you feel pretty comfortable. You feel pretty confident about the champion that the NCAA tournament produces. Yeah. But, man, if you have a cold shooting night or you catch somebody shooting out of their mind, you're done. Like your season could be over. And this format would sort of negate a lot of that. Now, with that being said, that probably means no Final Four appearance for the 2019 team. That team got hot and was hitting shots like crazy, beat some of these teams that, beat the crap out of some teams on that hot streak. But if you got into where you're having to win 2 out of 3 with a couple of those teams, I think it would have made it harder. On the flip side, obviously Florida was really good, but I think Auburn stood a much better chance getting into a 2 out of 3 type series in this year's tournament. Now that obviously they made it to the Final Four, so it is what it is. But I just think Auburn was a really, really good team that would have really benefited from, being able to lean on somebody for 3 games and winning 2 out of those 3. So I don't know. I think you could tweak it, but I think the baseball tournament produces a more real champion. Yeah. And then I think the NCAA tournament's more fun to watch. But I wonder how fun it would be. I wonder how fun it would be if it was just the exact same deal, 64 teams, but just a different format. I wonder how much more fun it would be.
I'm going to go back to what you said to begin with on that is the exertion part. I think they'd be fine that first weekend because, again, they kind of go into the season doing all the AAU ball that they grew up doing. So I think they're used to playing multiple games, not necessarily in a day, but definitely multiple games in a weekend. If I had my perfect way of blending the two, it's probably round robin, like you just talked about, the first couple of weekends. And then when you get to the Final Four, it's best 2 out of 3 in the Final Four against the opponent that you draw, and then push that final game back another week. And so instead of playing Saturday, Monday, you play Saturday, Sunday, Monday, best 2 of 3, then go to the next weekend and do the best 2 of 3 for the finale. Now, there are going to be some purists that go, no, I like the, championship game, Final Four, play it on a Saturday, line up Monday, everybody wins, blah, blah, blah. But it would be nice to see the 4 Final Four teams play best 2 of 3 2 weekends in a row against one another. I think it'd be great basketball. They could definitely sell it.
Sure.
But everything else leading up to that, either keep the way it is, or if you want to implement some sort of round robin, you probably could. But don't do the 2 or 3 series until you get to the final weekend.
You could, in theory, I think I did this math right. If it was the baseball format, you can, I think in theory, lose 4 games and still win the national championship.
I think that's great.
Yeah, it's better than if you lose 1, you're done. I guess you get a chance to redeem yourself.
Because you just talked about a hot night. What about guys that have an off night? What about teams that have an off night that just don't shoot? We just saw that in the NBA playoffs not too long ago, where there were some blowout games. Everybody's like, why? I was like, because they couldn't hit anything. That's why. And so
but then they just rotate it back and then they go win the next game.
Exactly. And so I would like to see that, but it ain't never going to happen. I mean, the basketball purists are too involved in that to make that happen.
It's been a long-standing thing. I just think it would be fun. In particular,
it's a great thought. Like when you put that out, I thought, this is phenomenal. This is great. Like
the round robin, to me, the round robin part of the first to the Sweet 16 is what I love. Because I think and maybe you do that and then I don't know. I do like the idea of just doing the Final Four as best 2 out of 3, but I like that round robin first elimination thing where you knock out, half the field right off the bat. No, way more than half the field because the super regionals are essentially the Sweet 16, right? That's 16 teams. Yeah. Yeah. So you knock out well over half the field. I think 2/3 of the field if I did. Yeah. I can't do math.
And see, just on that same thought process though, I'm okay with single elimination the first weekend in NCAA tournament, Sweet 16 being round robin, with the Final Four being
there. You go.
With the Final Four being best.
Now we're talking. Now we're talking.
That way you eliminate. That way you eliminate those 1 versus 64s.
I don't think that.
Yeah, I don't think they win 2 out of 3. The 64 ranked team, against a 1 seed. So let that first weekend be single elimination with an upset or 2 here or there, and then start the round robin in the Sweet 16, and then do your playoffs in the Final Four.
Would the math work to just go round robin, and then best 2 out of 3, Final Four?
Oh, somebody can make it work. Yeah, some math genius. That's not us.
We're gonna put that together. Yeah,
geography and math is not.
That
for
ain't
us.
That ain't us.
We're the brainstorming, give you ideas type thing.
We're
Somebody's
idea
smarter
guys.
than us
We're not execution.
Right.
Execution is not our. We're idea men.
Exactly. Man,
let's talk about baseball, man. What a weekend.
Baseball, great weekend. Auburn fans showed out. I mean, almost 8,000 there every single game, which could have taken more because I saw a lot of empty seats right behind home plate where people that had bought them from another school didn't show up. I think those ought to be allowed to be given away. Now, I know it still goes down as the number, but it just – Auburn did a great job from a standpoint of game day controls and everything that they did as far as – and Auburn did their job on the field. I mean, nothing really was in jeopardy. Maybe that first night where Auburn had a 4-run lead and let them come back and tie it and then broke away late. But after that, they were in control the entire time. Bats got hot. And one of the few SEC teams remaining. I mean, as we record this, there are only 2 that have punched their ticket. They got 4 more on a Monday afternoon / Monday night looking to punch their ticket for the weekend. And so Auburn now – but and I talked about this with Daryl on Monday is, people go, oh, SEC, you guys love the SEC. No, I was not pulling for Alabama to win. I was not pulling for Georgia to win.
Okay. Well, that's not a huge step out, man.
Yeah. And so, because you get the Danny Cannells of the world and some of the other, I think Daryl was fighting with some kid from Oklahoma State. And it's one of those deals where it's like, yeah, it's okay. When the SEC does win, I may champion it and go, hey, look at what we did in the SEC. But when Alabama or Georgia or LSU get beat, good. I'm okay with that. Doesn't bother me. So, but now Auburn has to take on Coastal, and these guys have got 50-plus wins, man. They better not take them lightly. That's going to be a good team coming in to the Plains.
That Coastal coach,
you love him.
I love him. Yeah, he was big mad at Florida's coach.
Yeah,
for something. I don't know.
Florida's coach was chirping at one of his players prior to the game,
and officials and grounds crew, and apparently multiple people, according to Coastal's coach.
Yeah,
I think it had to do something of like moving the time of the game or something like that. But he said, I got to address this. And he said, I don't know if I'm supposed to say this. I don't know if I'm going to get fined. I don't care, but I'm going to go ahead and say it. And then he basically just said, whatever Florida's coach's name, O'Sullivan, is that his name?
Yeah, Sullivan.
Yeah, he's a doucher apparently. So, and he got called out. But they're coming to Auburn. I can't believe this is Auburn's first super regional they've hosted. That's hard.
Well, as I told you, that they never had super regionals before.
I guess you're right. Yeah,
2014. I mean, they've only had like 10 years to be able to get one.
Okay.
So I kind of get it, but yeah, still Auburn went in as a top seed in either 2014 or 2010 and didn't come out of it. They've been a top seed a couple of times and did not win their own regional in order to come out of it. So it's hard to believe that this is the first time
1999.
That they get to host a super regional. Yeah.
So that's awesome. And with the additions, I mean, those were obviously a home run, no pun intended. You're able to pack in almost 8,000 people. It's got to make Auburn got one of the better venues now to go watch and be a part of, as far as atmosphere goes and just everything. It's going to be big. The pathway for them is there. Like we said, Coastal knocked out Florida. And I think Florida was who beat Was Florida who beat Auburn in the SEC tournament? Who beat Auburn? Who
No,
knocked
A&M beat Auburn.
Yeah, you're right.
But Florida handled Auburn during the regular season. So
Yeah.
I did not want to face Florida. So
Yeah.
I honestly don't really want to face Coastal either. So
Well, you gotta face somebody.
I was kind of wishing ECU would come out of that and, as a winner, and they didn't. So so we'll take on Coastal now. And the good news is I like that coach, like you said. It seems like we don't have to worry about a lot of jawing back and forth between the two teams. So we'll just get to see some good quality baseball this weekend at home on the Plains.
Yeah, hopefully the bats stay hot. Man, I'm proud of the pitching too.
Yeah.
What to me, I have no stats to back this up other than just experience. But if you're playing multiple games in a day, and the first game you're hot with the bats, I feel like it carries over pretty. Like you're able to walk into the next game and you're able to kind of carry it over.
Yep.
NC State had scored 17 runs or something like that, or 15. They scored 10 runs in one inning. I know that in the 8th inning, had 19 hits the game prior, and then you come in and you essentially shut them out. I mean, basically, they had 8 or 9 hits and only scored 1 run, and you just shellacked them.
Yeah,
real funny on Friday. I missed the first part of the game, and I turned it on, and I can't remember who was at bat, but I turned it on, and the only pitch I watched, it was a full count, and the dude hit the home run in the 3rd inning, and it hit the athletic dorms, and I was like, well, I don't need to watch anything. I don't want to screw it up. I turned it off right after that. I was like, it's one of the longest home runs I've ever seen. That was the first pitch that I saw, and I was like, okay, I've seen enough, but it was good, and hopefully the bats stay hot and Auburn can go back to Omaha. Butch, 4 super regionals. He's won 4 regionals since 2016. It's just, again, when you're talking about the big 3 in success, Butch is up there. He's the only baseball coach, I think, to win 4 regionals in his tenure. So, I mean, he's right there in the running for greatest baseball coach of all time at Auburn. So, it's great stuff. Great stuff. Ben, thanks for joining. Guys, again, this is a bonus episode. We're going to start making sure we get it more consistently every single week. Have a lot of fun doing it. Just kind of a more relaxed version. Just kind of cut up and have some fun. So
it's a chance for you guys in the afternoon to grab a beer, sit and listen.
Afternoon delight.
Afternoon delight of Top Button and a little extra pod.
There you go. So, guys, thanks for listening. Check back again soon. It's another episode of the Top Button Podcast. Stay buttoned.
Thanks for listening, and drive home safely.
All right, you ready?
Yep.
All right. Kyle, how can they find you?
Absolutely. You can find me on Twitter, _Charlie_5. You can sub to the Barn Auburn YouTube page. Or, hey, if you live in the Auburn Opelika area and you're looking to move, or you're moving to the area, come check out my neighborhood, Southern Pines, over in Opelika off of Northgate Drive. We have 45 lots. I'm sorry, I guess it's only 40 now because we have 5 spec homes for sale. You can pick a lot. You can build your own home. Great stuff over there. Awesome neighborhood. Got the pool house going up. Good stuff. So come see me pretty much every day, 12 to 5, and love to help you and your family out.
Kyle Rush, Top Button Tuesday, Positive Thought with Dr. George Matheson. Next.